business owner? Entrepreneur? Want to learn how online marketing can improve your business?
Your questions.
Our advice.
This is Not a Real Job.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 75 of Not a Real Job, the podcast that helps you turn the things you love into things that will make you money. I am Chris Van Patten, and I spend a lot of time in bed in New York City.
And I'm Joel Kelly, and I spend a lot of time not in bed, I guess, up in Nova Scotia, Canada. So you're all sleepy?
I'm still a little sick, still a little under the weather.
I've had friends who have never met you in person ask me to check in on you.
Really?
Yeah.
That's actually pretty amazing.
It is. People are worried, Chris.
There are people that you know, like, I feel like I met everybody in...
No.
There were more?
There are more people.
That's fun.
Yeah, so... do we want to make this like a medical podcast?
No.
Okay.
Because I will say that, especially over the past 24 hours, the details are very blue and very... They're a little sordid. We don't want to go into the messy stuff on the show, but...
Mostly butt related.
Mostly butt related, yeah.
Good.
So, I mean, not that we haven't crossed that.
Well, now that we're there, yeah. I don't know what
we've
we're
devoted a
waiting for.
fair amount to butts on this show, but
Butts and butts and butts.
all the butts. But anyway, hopefully this is the end. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm just going to turn the gain down a little bit on my microphone. The gain might be too high.
Do you even know what gain is?
I have no idea. All I know is that when I turn it up, it gets like louder, but also it gets kind of like louder but noisier, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And if I turn it down, it gets quieter and I can't hear it as well, but it doesn't have all that noise, that kind of the sharpness to it. So I don't know.
Let me school you a little bit.
Okay.
So this is just sort of off.
Should I just turn the knob back and forth throughout the entire recording?
Well, I mean, let's just some background. Gain is, and this is sort of, I'm just spitballing here, so forgive me if this is not the correct definition, but it's the measure of the ability of a two-port circuit, often an amplifier, to increase the power or amplitude of a signal from the input to the output port, and it usually does that by adding energy converted from some power supply to the signal. That was
just straight off your dome.
Yeah, I just sort of spitballing here. I hope I got that right out there, audio experts. But no,
I mean,
you have a new
it
microphone.
sounded great. Yeah, I got a new microphone. There's so many. Okay, there's really only the 3 knobs on it, but it's also got this mute button. That's kind of exciting. Yeah, so it's not like it's not knobs aplenty, but like I don't know,
knobs are more.
Yeah, more knobs. So one knob, I think I got that one sorted out. It's the one where you can like switch like what type of audio is going into it. Like if I were just trying to record ambient noise or like music or something, I've got like different knobs for that one. I've got it set to the one they said to set it for podcasts. So that problem solved.
Good.
Then there's the gain knob. I left that right about in the center, like it told me to. So really no need for that knob. And then there's the volume knob, and that's the volume that's going into my headphones of my own voice. Not bad, easy, because I've got these noise canceling headphones, so I need to, put some of my own voice into them so I can hear myself. Otherwise, it would be weird. And then I've also have to adjust your volume, because I don't want to be louder than you when I'm listening, because then I can't hear what you're saying. Anyway, I got the Blue Yeti microphone. I don't know how much it was. It'll probably be my gear pick for the week, though, because so far it's neat. But then I just laughed a bit there, and I saw that my audio was too high, so I got to turn that down. So, Steve, I'm just so sorry, I guess is all of this is to say I'm sorry, Steve.
So why did you buy a new microphone?
Because my old one broke, and I don't know. I was on the Amazon. This was like $50 off.
Mm-hmm.
And when I Googled podcasting microphone, a lot of people had recommended the Blue Yeti. So while the ATR mic that I had before was great, I was like, I don't know, why not do a whole upgrade thing? But yeah, I broke that microphone because I traveled with it a few times, and on the last episode, I don't know if anyone noticed, I'm sure you did, my audio quality after we had a little bit of a a mess up there where my audio cut out, and then we started recording again, and my audio sucked. It was the problem was that my microphone had just died.
Mm-hmm.
So when we started recording again, I thought I was recording through the microphone, but I was probably recording through either my headphones or just the internal microphone on the computer. So that's why the audio was all junky. So I had to get a new one, had to get it in time for this show, and the Yeti was available for Prime.
There we go.
So yeah, that's the whole thing.
So basically, you wanted just to make me sound like crap because you've got a fancy microphone.
You have the voice. You got the New York accent. You got.
Do I? I don't think I do.
Oh yeah, you sound like a real Nyarker.
Native. Sure.
A Nyarker. It's pronounced like gnocchi. So you've got that going for you. I've just got this nasally Canadian voice. So I've got to at least make it crisp.
Got your oohs and your Eds.
My oohs and my A's and my Z's.
And your Z's.
Should I get a pop filter? Can people hear the...
I have a pop filter, but I don't know if it's any... I don't know if it does anything.
It just looks sweet. You
Here,
feel like a...
This is pop. That's with the filter. Pop. That's without it.
Oh, that hurt my ears the second time.
Did it really?
No, literally no difference. But it makes you look like a real Mariah Carey.
It sure does. And I mean, that's basically my goal in life. We've got things to talk about on the show.
Like microphones and illnesses and butt diseases.
But I guess, what are you drinking?
I am drinking cranberry juice. I'm back. I'm back on the cran. It's Lakewood 100% juice, pure cranberry. There's one ingredient in this, Chris. One ingredient, cranberry juice. This was flown to me direct. Not true. I bought it at the grocery store all the way from Miami, Florida.
I saw on the Twitter, and I don't think we discussed this on the show. I don't think you and I have discussed this at all.
Uh-oh.
You are in the midst of Drynuary.
Well, yes.
Can you tell us more?
So my intent was to, not drink in January because I need to lose.
You've already failed.
I already failed. And let me be clear. The intent was to drop a few lbs before. I got a lot of work trips coming up. I got 3 trips in the next 4 or 5 weeks, one of them to Southeast Asia. And I don't want to be on a plane for all that time at my current size. So it's like, I'm going to drop a few pounds. Easiest way to do that is to not drink. And then my boss really told me what a dumb idea that is, because we've got a bunch of trips coming up. And, when we're not in our client meetings, sometimes we go out for drinks. And he thinks I'm going to be an old wet blanket. So anyway, last night I had a couple drinks with Leah, but yeah, like today I'm off the sauce and I won't be back on it again until my next trip. So that's it. Yeah, really, Drynuary would be more of an inconvenience than I'd like. Not a personal inconvenience, but it really seems to inconvenience others because I'm the guy not drinking. But I'm supported in spirit, and what I'm doing is, unless there's like an event, I mean, I'm drinking like a normal person, I guess is what I'm saying. Unless there's an event or an occasion, I'm deciding not to get drunk, like a person might.
Sure.
So yeah, so today I'm just I'm the pure cranberry juice with some soda water.
On the cran wagon.
Cranberry juice and soda water are my 2 favorite things, and combined, it's just it's so tart and bubbly. It's like a cocktail. It's so sad. Like, Chris, I don't need alcohol. All I need is some aggressively tart juice and some bubbles.
And that just makes you happy. Floats
Can you
your boat.
Can you hear me drinking it with my new microphone?
I'm trying not to. Oh boy. Somebody just turned off the show. We've got a question this week. Should we address
what are you drinking though? Are you drinking like medicine?
I'm drinking water.
Pepto?
Just water. It's no, just water. Plain old H2O.
All right. Well, I think I should be the one to read the question because I sound so good.
Please go for it.
Wouldn't it be funny if we like found out that this whole time I've been recording like through my headphones or something? Anyway, doesn't matter. You're getting pulled over by the cops, so
why do you always mention it?
Sorry, everyone. I think my microphone's so good I can hear you better.
I hope so. I guess that's a good thing. I'll take it. Sure. Anyway, hey NARJ-doggs, is that what we're going? Is that? I'll take it.
Whatever. Someone finally gave us a name. We asked. They answered. I guess we're just gonna. Okay, NARJ-doggs. Here's a question for you. This comes from our good friend Benjamin R. Harrison, who was on the show on episode something. And he's the guy who is doing that amazing movie Shoot the Moon about people who are trying to build a space elevator to the moon. Anyway,
I thought it was about people who are trying to attack the moon.
Well, that's easy. Like I think the first 10 minutes is just a guy who's trying to literally shoot the moon. Once he hits it,
guy with an air rifle and just pounding away.
Well, look, I don't know how bullets work. You're an American. You know more about guns than I do. But my assumption is that it's pretty. If you can see something, you can shoot. So see something, shoot something. Isn't that like your policy down there?
I think that's actually the national motto.
But yeah, see something, shoot something.
Mm-hmm.
Say something later if you feel like it.
Sure.
Anyway, hey NARJ-doggs, I have a question for you. I have an income that is 100% freelance, and right now I have 2 big projects, my film and a startup, that are taking up basically all of my time. And they will hopefully both pay eventually. But for the foreseeable future, but for the foreseeable few months, I'm going to have very little paid work. What would you do? Tighten your belt? Deprioritize one of the projects and do some biz dev? Your pal, Benjamin R. Harrison.
Oh, very nice.
We're pals. We have a pal.
Now
we each have one more friend. So now our total friend level, each of us just went up to 2.
That's what I've always wanted.
I know. Now we don't have to talk to each other anymore because now we've each got this other friend.
Perfect. You've got some thoughts here.
I did. I put some thoughts in the document because honestly, this is something I'm horrible managing my finances, and I've only gotten slightly better about it once I landed on this other way of thinking about it. I really like games like SimCity and The Sims, and from time to time I'll fire up a Civilization game, and I find that thinking about my own life as if it were a video game has really, really helped me. Like, I'll be looking at my bank account and I'll see that, okay, so I've got to pay, these bills. Oh, I've got a little bit on my credit card. I've got to put some there. I got to do this. And I also want to buy this thing. And I always think about, okay, if this were a video game, if I was playing The Sims and I needed a new something for my sim, but they also didn't have enough simoleons or whatever the currency is called, and they had, these bills to pay, what would I do? And I'd probably go, okay, Sim, just chill for a sec. Like, let's pay off what you need, and then we'll have more money, and then we can do it. And thinking about things that way has been really helpful. So I guess, I can't say exactly what you should do, Benjamin, but I would suggest try to think about it that way. Like if this was a project given to you, or if this was a scenario in a video game, how would you approach it? Try to take off, because you're thinking, like, do you tighten your belt? Do you put some burdens on yourself? And when you think about it that way, you're possibly going to make the wrong decision, because you're thinking about the personal impact. You're thinking about, how annoying it might be to have to spend a little bit less. But if you kind of remove it from you and think about it as if it were another person or a character, on a computer screen, I think it'll be easier to make the right decision in the long run. So I would think, if you could just tighten your belt, is that an option? Can you still be, have a livable and satisfying life for a little while you wait for these things to pay off? Then yeah, do that. If you can get away with that, then why not? And that way you don't have to deprioritize. But I think you really just need to figure out, if this wasn't you, what would your suggestions be? And for me, I'm thinking, yeah, you've got these two great things that will pay off. You don't want to deprioritize either of them. Maybe now's the time to get really into ramen. And just do your best that way. What do you think? I'm the kind of person who receives a paycheck every 2 weeks, so I'm not necessarily the expert in these things.
Yeah, well, I mean, neither am I. I mean, I was kind of thinking about this when it came in, and I too am sort of terrible with money. Just really, really, really bad. And I'm kind of fortunate that I am at a point where I don't know if it's fortunate, I guess, but I kind of have stopped caring about money, which I realize is not a helpful thing to do.
Right.
But like, I'm kind of at the point where like, if things go sour, I have backup plans in place.
Right.
So I just kind of go into any monetary transaction with kind of it doesn't matter sort of attitude. So yeah, with that in mind, I don't think I'm the right person to answer this question either, but I do think that Joel's advice is really solid, that, when it comes down to making one of these decisions, you do have to remove yourself from the situation, because it is easy to think about it from a personal perspective and, get emotionally involved in the decision, which is rarely a good thing, especially when something as objective, I guess, as money is involved. You don't want to have a subjective point of view. So yeah, I would kind of echo everything that Joel says. The other thing that I would say is that, if you don't already build an emergency fund, I mean, this is maybe one of the reasons that I do have kind of such a lackadaisical attitude, because I know that I have a pretty sizable cushion. If things do go wrong, like, that's okay. I've got at least 6 months that I can live on. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that 6-month cushion. Get that in place, and maybe that's not something you can do immediately, obviously, but make that a goal for 2015 or whatever, to get that cushion in place, so you can sort of take a month and work on your own things and not really worry about the lack of money coming in.
Yeah, exactly. I think part of it is also think about the challenges you have. This comes back to the great book by Ryan Holiday, "The Obstacle is the Way." So think about the obstacles you have in front of you and how you can turn those into advantages. So your obstacles are, you're really, really busy working on 2 projects that will one day pay off, and in the meantime, you're not making any cash. You have a cash flow problem. So how do you turn your busyness into money? Like, so is there this an opportunity for you to jump on Patreon? Is this an opportunity? So you've got this startup that you're hoping will one day pay off. Is this an opportunity for you to be maybe, now that you're learning all these things about your startup, can you provide some of the documents that you've made for that? Or can you provide some of the advice and sell that to other startups? Is there turning your current busyness into cash flow? Might be another thing to try to do as well. So, I mean, if you're spending, half your time on a startup, what are you doing every day on that startup that you might be able to turn into cash right now? And I think maybe that knowledge that you have, maybe jump on, Elance or something and offer some people some startup advice while you're in the midst of it. Things like that. I mean, that's all kind of just off the. Sorry, I burped, and now this microphone's so good it probably picked up every whisper of it. Anyway, think about the things that you're spending all your time on, and see if there's anything that can be turned into cash.
Sure. And the other thing I would add to that is, as you are sort of looking at your projects that you're working on and sort of figuring what you're going to prioritize or what you're going to deprioritize, or sort of where you're going to focus your time. I think the first way that most people think about that is that they're going to spend on their time on what's going to be the biggest payoff, especially in the short term. I would say, contrary to that, I think you should spend your time on the projects that are going to bring you consistent long-term revenue, even if that's a lot less. Like, if someone's like, do you want to work on something that's going to make you $1,000 tomorrow, or something that's going to give you $100 a month for the next 5 years, it's sort of easy to say, well, obviously I'm going to take 1,000. And there may be situations where that's the right move to make, but having that consistent base of revenue, even though it's dramatically smaller, it's going to be something you can build over time and you can come to depend on. So sort of in my own business, like as I'm looking into 2015, pretty much all of the projects that I'm aiming to take on are things that are going to be slightly smaller in the short term, but they're going to pay out consistently over the longer term. So it makes it a little bit easier for me to forecast things into the future.
Yeah, and a little bit of this might be some advice around, in times of struggle, economically is off the time where you should be spending a bit more so you can free up some resources you need for having a potentially bigger payoff. So I'm thinking about things like, if you're flat out, if you do have any money in the bank, should this be the time where you're maybe, paying someone else to get your groceries for you, or do your laundry, or do all those other things that are taking up the time that you could be spending investing deeper into your startups and the movie, so maybe you get those done faster? Is there anything in your life right now that you wish you could get rid of so you could focus more on your project, so that the time, the time when they start producing revenue happens faster? You'll take a deeper dip into possibly debt, or, a little tighter, financially right now, but is there anything you can do to kind of contract the period before these start paying off, even if it does require a little extra cash? I mean, one of the things that I think about is, we pay for our groceries, kind of or at least our produce up front. We pay into a CSA, so we get, our vegetable deliveries, and we pay that up front. We spend, $1,000, and then we've got our vegetables for the year. Is there anything that you can be doing kind of to invest right now so that you can contract that period before money starts flowing again?
Yeah, I think that's a really smart way to shoulder some of the burden in an easier way.
All right. Well, we're 20 minutes in, so let's hopefully, Ben, that was slightly helpful. But yeah, if you've got any more specific questions, please send them in. And if you have questions, you can send them in to us at notarealjob.com/questions. Now, one more thing before housekeeping. Chris, did you buy anything you'd like to tell people about?
I did. Yeah. So this is the portion of the show where we give you our Amazon picks. These are products that we have bought that you can buy on Amazon. And if you go through and buy them through the links that we provide in the show notes, or at Amazon, or at notarealjob.com/gear, click through those links and buy. And that's a really great way to help support the show. Kicks us, a couple pennies, and it's helpful to make sure that we can continue doing this thing. So this week, I am going to put in the SMSL SA50 stereo amp. So not the catchiest name, but it's a very nice amp. I've got a second set of speakers recently and a second amp to go with them. I know I've recommended speakers and amps in the past. This is my new second set, and I'm super happy with this amp so far. It's really nice. It's very simple. The design is really nice. It's all like brushed metal, I think is the way to describe it. I don't know. But it makes some real good sound. So I would definitely check that out.
Nice. And I, of course, am going to put the Blue Yeti USB microphone in silver in the show notes. So anyway, if I sound good, it's because I got this new microphone. The only thing I would say is it is much, much larger than the pictures make it out to be. This thing's like a foot off the ground, and it's pretty heavy. So if you're thinking $100, that's too much for a microphone, and that's $100 with the $50 off that Amazon is currently doing. Just remember that it's a heck of a thing. It's real heavy. So that, That's what you're paying
factors in.
for. Yeah, exactly. Housekeeping, notarealjob.com, as we talked about, notarealjob.com/gear for these recos /questions to submit questions /iTunes. So you can rate and review. We're also on Stitcher and Twitter, twitter.com/NARJcast, twitter.com/Krista and Patton, twitter.com/Joel Kelly. Is that everything?
I think so. And of course, if you missed one of those links, notarealjob.com has all the links you could possibly need. Everything is very nicely organized there. You can also join our mailing list there, which we're going to ramp up in 2015, probably once I'm starting to feel better. And yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in the pipeline. So, go check it out on the website.
Nice.
There you go.
Thanks everyone for listening. And we will catch you next week.
Bye, everyone.